Hi, this is Ben Lewis from the Office of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Arizona State University. I'm here to go through how to set up a Magic 8-Ball app on App Inventor 2. There's a tutorial for this. We're going to run through it step by step just to help out. If you feel like I'm going too fast, just pause. I know this is live, but I think you can still pause. And it won't be live forever. It should stay on the internet, hypothetically. It's my first time. Let me know how I'm doing. All right, so first thing we're going to do is you're going to look at what I'm looking at. The entire screen. Kapow! All right, so now you can see everything I can see. Infinite mouse, all right. We are going to go to Google and we're going to type in MIT App Inventor 2. This is going to get us to the App Inventor page right here. We can click. And I'm going to do this one time so that we can see what's going on. I'm going to set up my mouse size to be a little bit bigger so you guys have no trouble following me along. All right, feels like a good deal. Okay. This is my email account that I have attached. I'm going to allow this. I'm going to also open up a second tab. Search in Google. MIT App Inventor 2. And I'm going to click on this tutorials link, which is going to give me everything I need to run this program. You scroll down, it's one of the first apps. It's listed as basic. It's a really good start. So, coming back over to MIT App Inventor. Welcome. Do not show me this again. We've got a new version. We are currently using it. This is what we're going to be making. You can see on the back side there's a lot of stuff going on here. But we're going to start from scratch. We're going to go to Projects, Start New Project. If you haven't done this before, you won't have anything here at first. So we're going to go to Start New Project, Magic 8 Tutorial. Okay. So first things first, let's go over. Sorry. First things first, let's go over what we're going to be doing here today. We've got a couple of options here. First of all, what we're looking at is the front side of the application. This is where we're going to kind of get an idea of what users see. And this is called the design side. In the design side, you've got a palette, which has a couple of different options. You've got user interface, which is text that you're going to show the user, pictures, buttons, interactions. You've got layout, which is going to tell you how you're going to arrange these things in the designer. You've got media. These are sounds, images, things that the phone can do, such as record sound, text to speak. We're going to skip over drawing and animation. We're not going to use that today. Sensors have things that are already in the camera or already in the phone, such as the accelerometer sensor, clock, proximity sensor. These are location sensors. This is technology that's already in the phone and it helps you access it. We've got a thing for social, thing for storage, thing for connectivity. So, and then finally Lego Mindstorm, which we're not going to use today either. So in the middle, we've got the viewer. As I said, this is where we see what our user will see, or an approximation of it. When using this app, it's a really good idea to have access to an Android device. With the Verizon Innovation Through Design Thinking program, we're using our Galaxy tablets that were included with the grant. I've got one right here. I am going to come back to let you see me. Galaxy tablet, right? It's my pretty background of Arizona, super important. Gotta love where you are. And I'm also gonna need my cable. This makes it a lot easier. You don't need to have a tablet. It just makes the process a lot easier. If you don't have a cable, you can attach your tablet and your computer to the same Wi-Fi network, and that's going to give you an opportunity to do similar stuff to what we're doing here. Again, I like to use the cable because it's a little bit more painless of a process. So now I got my tablet connected to my computer. Can't really see the other side, but it's plugged in down there. And we're going to go back to letting you see what I see. Okay. Here we are. On the back side, we've got blocks. Blocks are kind of confusing if we haven't put anything on the front side, so we're going to ignore that for now. Okay, so follow me over to the tutorial side, and we're going to start going through this. First, we've got to set up the computers. We just went through that. Yeah, that's fine. We started a new project. If you need any help with that, it's in the tutorial section. Now we're going to download some images and some sounds to use with this app. They've got 5 media things here, 2 images, 3 sounds. I personally like the blank 8-ball image, so I'm going to download that by clicking on it. Right click, save image to downloads. That works for me. Go back and find a sound that I like. Clinking teaspoons is my favorite for no reason at all. Well, okay, can't hear anything because of the way I've got the sound set up. So I'm going to right click that and download linked file. Puts it in my little downloads folder. Makes me a pretty happy camper. Now I'm ready to get going. So I'm not going to follow this tutorial exactly. If you get lost, the tutorial is very helpful. I just went here to get the sounds and the images. But let's get back over to App Inventor 2. We're on Magic 8 tutorial, and we're going to start creating something here. So the basic premise of this app is that those plastic Magic 8 balls that are toys, and you shake them, you ask a question, you shake it, and it gives you a random answer, such as ask again later or probably not. We're going to replicate that functionality on our phone. So the first thing we need to do is we need to give the user some sort of idea of what's going on. I think the best way to do that is going to be to put that picture of a Magic 8-ball smack dab in the middle of this screen. So that image is what we would call media. And we haven't uploaded anything to the program yet. So right now, MIT App Inventor doesn't know that we've downloaded these files to our computer. So I'm going to come down here to the media section, and I'm going to upload those files. What that means is these files are going to be available for us to use on our project. So if I go to my downloads folder, I've got Magic 8-ball. That's the one I want. Go and install that. Okay. We can only upload 1 file at a time, which is fine. We don't need a lot of files to make this happen. Ta-da, MP3. Okay. So right now we've uploaded both of these files, Magic 8-ball, ta-da. Now we want this Magic 8-ball to be on the screen. There's a couple of ways we can do that. We can go to the user interface and we can find this image tag. Now this is a drag and drop program, so we're going to pull it over here to the screen by clicking and dragging, let go on the screen, and now we've got this little picture here, and in our components tab we've got screen 1 and image 1. Now that we've got image 1 selected, we have this properties tag that says how tall do you want it to be, automatic, fill parent, pixel percent. How wide do you want to be, automatic, parent, fill parent, pixel percent, and which picture do you want to use? None. Okay, so I'm going to do Magic 8-ball. All right, we're making progress. We've got a screen and it's got a picture of something on it that could represent a Magic 8-ball. If we weren't too crazy, make it work. So last two we've got scale picture to fit and visible. Scale picture to fit, I don't use that. I'm gonna steer clear of that. What we do have an opportunity to do here is mess with the height and the width. As you can see right now, the Magic 8 Ball is bigger than the screen. That could be a problem. Maybe we want to see the entire Magic 8 Ball on the screen. So the way we would do that is we're going to mess with our height and width. So if you select Fill Parent, it means a couple of things. Right now, we've just dropped this image into the screen. And so Fill Parent in this image, in this instance, is going to fill the entire screen height-wise. All right, so scale picture to fit means that whatever the image box is, the picture will be the size that fits that exactly. So right now what we have is a very weird shaped Magic 8 Ball. It's not exactly going to work for us. So maybe we don't want to go with Fill Parent. We could say automatic. That's a little bit better, but it's still a little squished. So what I'm going to say is we've got two options. We can either guess with numbers. Pixels are each little colored dot that makes up a colored screen. We could say, let's try 200, see what happens. Okay, it's a little narrower than we want. We probably want to go wider. 300, that's better. Maybe if I do 330. All right, I'm pretty happy with 320. That looks pretty good to me. It's still kind of squished. So we could say this is a square image. Maybe if we do 320 height, that'll work too. And it looks pretty good. Now, there's times when you're not dealing with square images and you'll have to do a lot of guesswork to figure this out. A way around that is to go for percentage. So instead of 320 on height, I could say I want this Magic 8 Ball to be 90%. Okay. I want the width to be 90%. Okay. This is what's happening here. This is the percentage of the space that it's taking up and not the percentage of the picture size. So we're not going to be able to use that way. We're going to have to stick with 320, 320. Which requires a little bit of math and a little bit of guesswork, but it's going to be okay, I promise. Okay, so right now we've got an image of a Magic 8 Ball. Ideally, what we want the user to do is ask us a question, and then we will give it an answer. And that's going to require some sort of input. We could drag another button down here and say, this button, when we press this button, we're going to give them the answer. Now, it's really important to make sure that we tell the user what we need the user to do to interact with our app. So we're probably also going to want a label in here as well. Now, as you see, when we drag these in, they drop into the component screen. We've got label 1, image 1, button 1. And when we select them, they have this green line around them on the screen. So label 1, we've got a lot of options here. Background color, none. We could change that to anything we want. Gray, white. I'm going to stick with none. I don't need a background color. Font size is 14. It's pretty small when I'm looking at it. I probably want to do something bigger. What's 28 look like? 28 looks pretty good to me. Let's stick with that. Height, automatic seems fine for now. Nothing's messing up on the screen. Width, I want it to go all the way across. I'm going to go to Fill Parent. Text for label 1. This is where we really get to do some damage. It's where we can talk to the people that are using our app. So we're going to change this to ask the 8 Ball a question. Ask the 8 Ball a question. Text align. This is good too. I don't like that it's off to the left. I want it to be in the center. Problem solved. Text color. And we've got a lot of options here. What about dark gray? Not very exciting, but I I like it. I'm going to stick with it. Okay. Now we're going to want to tell the user how to get an answer. Right now, this button 1 just says text for button 1. So when we select it, we got a lot of the same things going on here. Background color is default. You can also select none. I don't like selecting none because it's a little harder to tell that that's a button when we haven't selected a color. I think this would be a good opportunity to use orange because I think orange is a cool color. Do what you want. We also might want this button to not be off to the side there or so small. So as it is right now, the button is automatically the same size as whatever text you have on it. Width, height are set to automatic. What that means is if we type a lot of stuff here, then the button is going to get bigger. Now we've got a problem because the button is going off of our screen. Way that we can work to fix that is to work with our width. So we could either fill parent or set the same width as our magic 8 ball. Let's try 320, see what happens. Okay. Height. We type a lot of stuff in here. This button is going to get, maybe we need to make it bigger. 50. Okay. Hey, there we go. If we type a lot of stuff here, then the button is going to get bigger. Now we've got a couple of other options. We can say we want a rounded button. We want an oval button, which doesn't really work. The text gets cut off. We can say, I'm going to go rounded. I like round buttons. So what we should set this text to is something that lets our user know that we want them to press this button to get an answer. Press this button to get an answer. Man, that is beautiful. This is our first app. I think we're doing pretty good. I'm going to change some things here because I don't like that this button is hard to read compared to the Ask the 8 Ball a Question button. So I'm going to say maybe make the font bigger, 21. Sure, maybe make it bold. All right, maybe I want the color of the text to be white. It's kind of hard to read. I don't want the color of the text to be dark gray. I like it. It's kind of coming together. Looks like we've got an app. Not so fast. What we have here is what people will see when they look at our app. In fact, we could connect this app to our tablet right now, which I'm actually going to do. Connect up here at the top allows you to connect to 3 different ways. The AI Companion app is an app that you have to download ahead of time on your tablet. Probably should have started with that. Let me get here so you can see what I'm dealing with. Okay, so we've got the tablet. When we open up the tablet, come on, incorrect pin. That's crazy. Okay, when we open up the tablet, we can see got all of our apps on there. Now the AI Companion app is this little bad boy over here, which can be found on the App Store. We are not connected to Wi-Fi. Ask me if I want to continue. In this case, I've got the cable, doesn't matter. I'm going to continue with the cable. Continue without Wi-Fi. So I'm going to, this is the screen we see, and I'm going to put it back over to screen share so you can see what I'm seeing. Desktop, start screen share. Okay. Now we're going to go to USB. Kapow. Waiting 2 seconds to ensure all is running. All right. This is kind of the process that takes a while, but is less painful than using the emulator. The benefit of the emulator is that you do not have to have an Android tablet or phone to test your app. It's very, very important to be able to test your app because it helps you understand how it's working, what's wrong, and what could be better. So now, as you'll be able to see in a second, I've got my app here. Ask the 8-ball a question, press this button to get in. Doesn't say answer. That's a problem. Something I can fix though. I'm pressing the button and something's happening, but it's not taking me anywhere and I'm not getting any answers. This is where we're going to have to go into the back end and program the app to let it know what we want it to do when that button's pressed. Follow along. Okay. So problem one, this text ended up being too big. This was a little big too, so I'm going to scale that down. 25. Clicked on label 1. I can also click here. Now I click on this button, change this to maybe 17. Just guessing. But as I'm doing this, I can see the app changing things on my tablet. So this is changing live as I'm doing it. Now we're going to really get into the meat of coding. Go back into the block side, and you're going to see we've got a couple of options. There's built-in blocks over here. We've got something that looks very similar to our designer side. So if you see components here, we've got screen, label, image, button on the design side. On the block side, come down here, we've got screen, label, image, button. This is what we're going to be working with. Right now, what we want to happen is we want that button to do something. So when I click on this, there's all these little puzzle pieces that come up, right? We've got button 1 click, got focus, long click, lost focus, touch down, touch up. These are all different things that could happen to that button. And then at the bottom, we've got ways to change the setting on the button. So we can make the font bigger, we can make the font smaller, we can change the color of the font, we can change the background image of the button, which is something we're going to do later. Right now, we just want to drag this when button 1 click to our screen. Kapow. All right. Now, when we click button 1, we want to do something. There's a couple of options here. Let's go back over to the design side and think about where we want this answer to go. Well, doesn't look like there's anywhere to put this answer on the button or on the image. So we're either going to have to change this button text or change label 1 text. That's kind of unfortunate. Because when you use the Magic 8-Ball, if you've ever used one of these things, the answer comes up right here in this little triangle. I kind of want that to happen. At least I want it to come up on this image. So how are we going to do that? Well, if you see this button has text, but it also has an option to be an image. So maybe what we want to do is we want to take this image and turn it into a button. The best way to do that is to drag a new button across, let it go. Text for button 1, button 2, excuse me, text for button 2. So I'd say we can delete this image because it's kind of getting in our way. It's going to delete it forever. Are we okay with that? The answer is yes. And we're going to set that same image as the background image on button 2. So I've selected button 2. You can see it over here. And the background image, I want to set it to Magic 8-Ball. Okay. Hey, that looks familiar. It's a little too big. So we're going to come over here and we're going to say, let's do 310. Okay. Let's do 310. Okay. Close. I'm getting there. 315. You can tell I went to design school because a little of stuff bugs me on this side, but whatever you want to see, you can do it here. So now we've got this Magic 8-Ball. This is a button. press this button to get an answer. Okay. This looks pretty good. First, text for button 2 is hard to read. We're going to want to change that color to white or red. Red looks fine. I'm going to go white. Text for button 2. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Now we're going to run into another problem. As you see, we've got 2 buttons, and they're named button 1 and button 2. Right here, it's easy because we can click on the 8 ball and say, okay, that's button 2. Okay, that's button 1. But when we come to the backside where the blocks are, it's really hard to tell which button is which. They look exactly the same. This is where we're going to want to rename things. So I like to rename from the design side because it's easier to tell what you're working with here. So I select the magic 8 ball, come over to component screen, I'm going to rename it. I'm renaming it 8 ball because that makes sense to me. Rename this to the ask button. Okay, so the reason I named this the ask button is because we're asking them to press a button to get an answer. That could be confusing because label 1 is also an ask. Maybe I should call this the answer button. And I will rename label 1 ask. Ask label. Sounds good. Ask label. Okay. So now when I go to the back side of the blocks, I've got some options. You see this answer button and 8 ball are already fixed for me, so that's good news. So when answer button's clicked, I want 8 ball. And I've got to scroll down and find something that makes sense, that looks like it'll fit in this little puzzle piece. So I'm going to set 8 ball text. There we go. Kapow. All right. As you see, we've got a warning here, and I'll tell you why. The reason we have a warning is because this stuff isn't complete. It's open. If you click show warnings, it'll tell you error from the companion. Invalid syntax. Evaluate form. All right, you should fill all of these sockets with blocks. This is good. This is good. So we've got to fill this button with a block. It's got to say something. I don't know how to make that go away. Well, that's better for me. It's not in the way anymore. Okay, so we want to set the 8 ball text to something. If you come over here on the block side, you can see we've got built-in text, math, logic, control. These are the same kind of blocks. If then else, basic programming thoughts. For each number from blot to blot to blot, do blot. Okay, so really all we need to do right now is input text. This is the most important text box you will use. Well, maybe not most important, but the most frequent. This is where you put in anything you want, and the app knows that you're dealing with text. So what do we want the answer to be when they press the button? For now, I'm going to say, I don't even want to answer that question. Ask a better one. Okay. That might work. See what we got. All right. Now, we are going to go back to the app. Ask the 8 ball a question. Dear 8 ball, have I had too much coffee to drink in the past 25 minutes? I don't even want to answer that question. Ask a better one. It's kind of sassy. I don't know if I want my app to talk to me like that. But I'll do what it asks. Give it at least one more try. Have I had enough water to drink today? I don't know why I'm thinking about liquid so much, but that's what I've got. So I'm going to press the button. Nothing's happening because we only told it to give us that one answer. We don't want it to just give us one answer. We wanted to give us a bunch of answers at random, but only one at a time. So that's what we're going to deal with now. We're going to figure this out. How do we get it to give us more than one answer randomly? Okay. Starting our screen share. Okay. That answer is a good answer, but we need more than one. So this is where we're going to get into these other options. Sounds like what we need is a list. We've got lists, and we want there to be multiple items in the list. So we're going to say, let's make a list of things we want this thing to say. We can get more of these text boxes here. Let's get a bunch of them. I want at least 5 things that are going to come up different. Otherwise, I think it's pretty boring. Just yes or no, I get bored. Okay. Let's do in this one, let's say, dream on. Never gonna happen. This one's like, absolutely. You are the best anyway. This one is, I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you. And purple potatoes. Okay, now we've got a problem here. We've got 5 things we want in this list, and there's only 2 slots. Great news, we can deal with that. See this little blue square with a more puzzle pieces for our items. Righty. We have to plug these in manually because it doesn't know that we plugged them in now, but get out of there. Here we go. Wonder what happens when we do that. Whew. That is not good. Let me show you what we got here. That basically, well, I'm not going to show you. It takes too much time. That put every single thing on that list into my button. When I pressed the button, it said all of it in parentheses. That's not going to work for me. I just want one of those things to come out randomly. Maybe there is another option in lists that I can use. Look at this. Pick a random item out of the list. That sounds like what I'm looking for. Okay. Okay, now we've got a problem here. I'm not starting in square one. If I wanted to start over fresh, I could say reset connection. What that's going to do is it's going to tell my app to start over. Sometimes this happens. We've got to figure it out. So what if we did a hard reset? Well, tell you what I can do. I'm not as worried about that right now, and let's keep going fast. So, or whatever speed we're going, whether it's fast or not, no judgment. Here I am again. It's good to see you guys. Now we've got an app that answers our questions. Ask me a question out loud. I'll get you an answer. It's a good question. They didn't think it was a good question. Ask another one. Purple potatoes. We're getting that one a lot. Purple potatoes. Dream on. Never gonna happen. Okay, so this is kind of working, right? It's not too cool, but we made it, and that's kind of cool. My mom would probably, you know, magnetize that to the fridge or something. I don't know, whatever people do these days when people make stuff. But I think we can make this a little bit better. I don't know if you remember the original 8-ball. You didn't press anything. You just shook it. We can do that. There's a sensor in here that knows when you're shaking something. Let's plug that in. So follow along, and we will make this app function based on shakes. So if we come down to the palette side into sensors, we will find accelerometer sensor. That means the phone knows when stuff's happening to it in space. All right. Over here we've got some options. We don't know what those mean yet, which is fine, but if something's not working properly, we can come in here and mess with them a little bit. Sounds good. So now we've got a new option in the backside. When answer button click is no longer the way that we want people to mess with our app. We want them to do something else. We want when accelerometer sensor 1 shaking. Kapow. So you see, when we're moving these blocks around, we can, everything that's attached to a block comes with it. So you can break an entire thing apart, or you can break off pieces. Same things happens if you duplicate. I right click and it says duplicate. I can get the whole thing. That's how you throw stuff away. That's fine. All right, so what we've got right now is that when we shake it or when we press the button, something happens. I don't care about the button. I'm gonna delete. Now we shake. We've got a problem on this side though. Press this button to get an answer. Ask the 8-ball a question. And then there's this other little thing here, text for button 2. That has been bugging me. I don't want anything to show up there until the answer. So I can just come into text and just delete that. That'll solve a lot of problems for me. Okay, so we've got to change what it says. Ask the 8-ball a question. Press this button to get an answer. Maybe we don't even need this button at all. Let's get rid of it. Okay. And change the text up here. Let's say ask a question. Ask a question and shake the 8-ball to get your answer. Okay, that's kind of working, but we're running behind this picture now. We can fix that with our height. Let's just play around until it looks right, which is really the best way to do stuff on the design side. You kind of gotta figure it out on your own. That looks good to me. I like it. Ask a question and shake the 8-ball to get your answer. Sounds pretty good. Let's see what we've got going for us now. All right, I've noticed that my app is no longer updating. So I'm going to need to hard reset and connect again via USB. It's going to take a little bit of time. While we're doing that, I'm also going to get back here on the screen. Going slow. Stuff's happening. Super exciting. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. What do we got going on here? Doesn't look quite right. Our text is getting cut off. Oh, that's why we got to check on the devices. You got to check that out. Let's go on to the design side and try to fix it. Height 50 pixels didn't do it for me. I'm going to try probably 75 just to see what happens. Better. Not good enough yet. Maybe my font's too big. What if I go from 25 down to 22? All right, there we go. Now we're cooking with fire. Okay, see what we got. Magic 8 Ball. Have we successfully finished this opportunity? Dream on, never gonna happen. We haven't finished. Magic 8 Ball, am I shaking you hard enough? Let me shake you. Purple potatoes. It's working. We've succeeded. Look at this. Congratulations. We're done with this one. We're going to come back, though. We've got 2 more parts. Let's say 3 more parts. Because I think it'd be really cool if that thing read out loud what it displayed on the Magic 8 Ball. It's going to teach you some stuff. So that's going to be the next part. Right now, we're stopping this one. Ben Lewis from Arizona State University with the Verizon Innovation Through Design Thinking program. Thank you very much.